What's the number one goal of any business? I mean, it sounds like such a simple question, doesn't it? But the answer, well, it's surprisingly tricky. And it's really the entire foundation of corporate finance. In this explainer, we're going to solve that puzzle together.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. If you were the CEO, what would you say your top priority is? The answers that pop into your head first probably seem right, but as we're about to find out, they might not be the whole story, especially when you're thinking about long-term success.
You probably came up with stuff like this, right? Maximize sales, crush the competition, or maybe just survive. And look, let's be clear, all of these things are absolutely crucial. You can't run a business without them. But in the world of financial management, if you focus on just one of these, you can actually steer the company in the wrong direction. They're just pieces of the puzzle, not the whole picture.
See, the true goal is something that takes all these ideas into account, but then adds this really important layer of long-term thinking. It's way more precise, and frankly, it's a much more powerful guide for making tough decisions.
Okay, so let's start by tackling the most common answer of all, maximizing profit. It just sounds right, doesn't it? I mean, more profit is always good, but if you make that your number one goal, it actually has some pretty serious flaws.
Yeah, just focusing on profit has three big problems. First off, the word itself is just vague. Are we talking about profit this month, this year, over the next 10 years? Second, it totally ignores that cash you get sooner is way more valuable than cash you get later. And third, and this is a big one, it ignores risk. A risky long shot at $1 billion is a completely different beast than a surefire bet on $1 million.
So, you see, a really effective goal has to do more than just chase the biggest number. It has to be in this constant balancing act between the potential for a reward and the risk you have to take to get there. That balance, that's everything. And that brings us to the real goal in financial management. Maximize the value of the company's shares. Now, why is this so much better? Because a company's stock price is like the ultimate scorecard. It automatically factors in everything we've talked about. The size of the cash you expect to get, when you expect to get it, and how risky it is. It's the most complete way to measure how a company is doing for the long haul.
Okay, so if maximizing the share price is our destination, how do managers actually steer the ship to get there? Well, it all comes down to a playbook that's built on three massive fundamental decisions.
This right here is the heart of a financial manager's job. First, the investment decision. Which big projects, new factories, or company acquisitions are actually going to create the most value? Second, the financing decision. Okay, how are we going to pay for all that? Should we borrow money or should we sell more stock? And third, the dividend decision. What do we do with the profits we make? Do we give it back to the owners, the shareholders, or do we plow it back into the company to fuel even more growth?
And here's the kicker. Every single one of those decisions at the end of the day is about one thing: managing cash. I'm not talking about accounting profit on a spreadsheet. I mean actual physical cash flowing into and out of the business. Cash is the lifeblood, and how you manage that flow determines, well, everything.
So when a manager looks at a new project, they're not just asking, how much money will it make? No. They're breaking it down into three critical questions about the cash it'll generate. How big will the cash flows be? When will they show up? And how risky are they? Let's see how that works in real life.
All right, take a look at these two projects. At first glance, they seem the same, right? Both are going to bring in a total of $30,000. But which one is actually better? Well, Project B gets you a big chunk of that cash way sooner, and because money you have today can be put to work and earn more money right away, it is always more valuable than the same amount of money you get tomorrow. That makes Project B the clear winner, and it's a perfect example of what we call the time value of money.
Now let's think about risk. Project 2 looks great on paper. It has the potential to bring in more cash no matter what happens. But look at the difference between the best and worst case scenarios. It's a much wider, more unpredictable range. So a manager has to decide, is the chance for that bigger reward from Project 2 worth the greater uncertainty? There's no single right answer here. It's all about finding that perfect balance between risk and reward.
So this all seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Managers just have to make these decisions to pump up the stock price. Easy peasy. But here's where the plot twist comes in. In almost every big corporation today, the people actually running the company aren't the people who own it. This separation between who owns the company and who controls it creates something called the agency problem. Think of it like this. The shareholders, they're the principals, hire the managers, the agents, to act on their behalf and do what's best for them. But what happens if what's best for the managers isn't exactly what's best for the owners?
That's when you get this natural conflict of interest. Shareholders want to build long-term value, and that usually means taking some smart, calculated risks. A manager, though, they might want to play it super safe to protect their own job security. Shareholders want the company's money to be used efficiently. A manager might, want some expensive perks like a fancy corporate jet. This clash is at the very heart of how we govern companies.
Okay, so if this conflict is just built into the system, how in the world do you solve it? How do you get everyone on the team, from the CEO down, pulling in the exact same direction? Well, it turns out there are some really powerful tools and systems designed to do just that.
Shareholders have a whole toolkit to get everyone aligned. You've got the board of directors, who are elected specifically to watch over management. There's a threat of a takeover, which definitely keeps underperforming managers on their toes. And of course, there are laws and regulations. But maybe the most powerful and direct tool of all is how you pay people.
This quote right here just nails it. It's so simple when you think about it. If you want someone to act in your best interest, you have to make it in their best interest. You have to pay them for the exact performance you want to see.
And that's exactly what a good pay package does. By giving managers bonuses tied to performance, and especially by giving them stock or stock options, the company literally ties a manager's personal wealth directly to the company's stock price. So now, when the shareholders win, the managers win right alongside them. Their goals are aligned.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, from why making a profit isn't enough, all the way to this tricky agency problem. So let's boil it all down to the one core idea you really need to remember.
At the end of the day, running a company financially is a balancing act. It's the art of constantly making those three key decisions: how to invest, how to get the money, and what to do with the profits, all while keeping your eyes on that one single North Star, creating real, sustainable, long-term value for the owners of the company.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question to think about. We've established that the #1 financial goal is to maximize shareholder value. But that begs the question, where does everyone else fit in? What about a company's responsibility to its employees, its customers, its community, and society as a whole? Is serving shareholders the only thing that matters? Now that is a huge debate at the center of modern business, and it's definitely some food for thought.